Welcome to Glowing Success. I'm Heidi, your host. On this show, we dig into aesthetics, marketing, business strategy, wellness, and iridology. Whether I'm flying solo or sitting down with some incredible guests, this is your space to learn, grow, and build something beautiful. So let's get into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. So I just want to keep you guys updated on a few things I have going on in my life lately, and they're a little scary, but also exciting. So I just sold my custom reception desk and my big Calamandan tree, and I'm going to tell you why that's such a big deal for me. And I'm sitting here with all of the feelings that come with releasing things, so bear with me. So I have been actually in the same office building for 8 years. 8 years out of the 15 years I grew my spa. So I grew my spa in this building. I built my coaching business in this building. I even started this podcast in this building. So the desk, the tree, they were part of my beginning infrastructure. So part of what kind of made that growth feel real, right? My reception desk was custom made by a woman that is also still in business, which I'm really excited about. It was honestly one of my big purchases when I expanded and decided to build a team in this building. And same thing with my tree. My tree is it was a bigger thing that actually I did not purchase. My cousin gave it to me, but it was kind of a bigger thing that I was like, I'm inviting in and I'm going to be making, this solid. I'm going to stay here for a long time. Now I'm selling them off because my lease ends soon and I'm not renewing. Because going forward, I don't actually need this office, and I haven't needed this maybe an office space for a while, but coming to terms with that takes a while, right? So, most of my coaching clients are virtual and don't actually live in the same state as me. My energy work can happen online or in person, and so can my iridology work. But so the truth is, I wanted to work from home for a long time now, or even just closer to my house. My office is not very close to my house. I have to sit in traffic every day, all the things you kind of don't want to do, right? But I will say it's been a little bittersweet because this building has given me the opportunity to grow in so many ways. But now I'm really ready to release it. You know what I mean? And honestly, if this is resonating with you, if you're wondering whether you need maybe that office or that lease or that overhead, we're about to get into it, okay? So I want to give you kind of a little backstory. After 2020, I started getting a lot of messages asking me how I was doing so well after we all shut down for 2.5 months because I was posting things online. My clients were coming back. My team came back. We were climbing out of that, shell of 2.5 months of not working. And honestly, because the messages were coming in so often of people asking me how I was doing it, I started offering business coaching. That's really what propelled me to really want to help other people. And I fell in love with it. Like I loved sharing how I expanded my business and my spa over the years. I love sharing all the things that I learned. And honestly, I fell in love with that. I could suddenly help people who weren't where I was, who weren't in the same state. I could connect with people from all over. And that opened up this whole version of me I didn't even know existed, right? Because I was a service provider and just offered my services to clients that lived close for so long. But I was helping, the beauty industry, and I still am, in a way I'd only dreamt about, right? And sometimes I still have to pinch myself because, when I get done with the coaching session, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I loved that. I'm obsessed with it, And then I started this podcast. So that was another way to connect because I had so much information to share. I wanted, another layer of reach that I could give people, but it honestly became another like proof point that I could really make an impact and grow. And that's honestly when I got it, that the building wasn't holding me back, right? It wasn't holding me even up. It gave me the security to reach further. That's kind of how I look at it. Because I don't want to think of all this as like, well, I'm completely changing my business, right? I've been changing my business for a while. I'm getting used to how things work, but I was in a lease, right? But now that everything's kind of coming to a close, it really makes you think about things. So if you're thinking about your own business and whether you need that office, like I was saying earlier, or that lease or that physical setup to feel and be legit, sometimes yes, sometimes you do. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes it also doesn't look like what you think, right? Maybe not the way you think it does. So, because honestly, our real work with our businesses and growth and everything, it's really going to work in those connection points that you make with people, right? And their transformation that they're maybe getting from you, that impact that you're giving them. And honestly, that can honestly happen almost anywhere. And I'm a true believer in this because I'm an example of this, right? So maybe step outside of that box a little bit and think maybe you want to share a space with somebody, right? Maybe you don't want to be totally by yourself yet, right? Or maybe you're choosing the space that might not make sense, but it gives you like opportunity to grow. So maybe it's a little cheaper and it's not necessarily exactly what you envisioned, but because that rent's going to be cheaper, you can grow in different ways. Can you see kind of where I'm trying to have you expand? Because honestly, this happens way more than we probably would like to admit. We put ourselves in these boxes, and a lot of times it's because we see, other service providers around us have something and do something, or this is industry standard, or this is how all businesses do it. But what I'm really realizing is, not only do we have to be grateful for the things that we've had in life and like where we've gotten our growth and things like that, but we have to kind of realize like maybe the box that I've even put myself in I really didn't need. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, like, what are you still holding on to that you think you need? What setup or what location or, what proof are you waiting for before you let yourself grow beyond that? Because I'm living proof. You might already be ready for that next phase or that next big adventure or that next big endeavor or that next big decision, let's say. And honestly, like I want to look at the last 8 years in this building as a stepping stone for me to offer coaching, energy work, and iridology, right? And all of it being virtual, like which I never thought I would be able to offer. And so and all of it reaching people I never could have, had access to or reached with my, my mindset of how I used to grab clients. And that is available to you too. Not because, not because I'm special. Let's say this, like because you're probably already outgrowing something, whatever box or whatever thing that you think you haven't outgrown. You probably are. You probably do need to reevaluate, like, well, what am I actually doing? Like, what am I holding on to just because? Is it actually serving me? You know what I mean? So if you're sitting in this right now, thinking to yourself, maybe, you feel stuck or you feel like you're small or you feel like you can grow and maybe it's not working. Maybe it's not, you don't need to fix it. Maybe you just need like, what's next? Maybe you need to think outside the box of how you could operate your business or how you could do things in a way that feels authentic to you. So take that leap because honestly, if you don't, You will always have that question of what if, and you hear people say this all the time when they get older of like, well, what I wish I wouldn't have held myself back with things. The what ifs really hold you down. Okay, so stay tuned as my next chapter unfolds. And of course, thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.